Hello everyone, I'm Lucy Fanger, CEO of On Technology Partners, and I'm proud to be sponsoring our new program, Women STaRs. In each episode, we will spotlight an amazing woman and the struggles and triumphs that she has faced. Then we will reflect and share her insights. Our goal is to engage, entertain, and explore the women STaRs in our world today. I hope you enjoy.
I wanted to thank you all for listening today. My name is Shanti Harkness, and I'm the Media Manager for On Technology Partners, a woman-owned company addressing cybersecurity and risk. Join us as we share the reflections of women just like you that have survived struggles and embraced triumphs in their lives. Today, we'll be talking with Regina Olbinsky. Regina is the managing partner of Pivot Growth Partners, a firm that she started in 2003 after a successful career in corporate human resource management and outplacement. It offers executive coaching, leadership development, training, talent consulting, and career coaching services to senior leaders and organizations of various sizes and industries. Regina also has a unique focus on small law firms as a business advisor to the firm's owners or managing partners. She brings a unique passion and knowledge to each of her clients using a strategic, business-focused, and goal-oriented approach. She holds an MBA from the Weatherhead School of Management at Case Western Reserve University and a BS with honors in psychology, human resource management, and Russian from The Ohio State University. In 2015, Regina graduated from the prestigious and intensive Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. Regina, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today.
Oh, gosh, thank you so much. It's really great to be here, Shanti.
Excellent. So before we begin, tell us something that others may not know about you or something exciting about yourself.
Ooh, I'm addicted to pots. That's plural, pots. I love cooking and have found it just absolutely joyful to cook using great instruments like Le Creuset, especially in the color red. I find that the color makes a big difference in how I cook and how I present. But yeah, that's definitely one thing. Another thing that's not as fun is that most people don't know that I was born in the former Soviet Union and that I immigrated to the United States with my parents in 1978.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So apparently to enjoy cooking more, I just need to get some better cooking pots.
Yes, you need to get red pots. Yes, red pots, and you're golden.
Excellent.
Make anything.
I will have to try that out.
Yeah.
So Regina, we know that triumphs don't come without their struggles, right? What have been some of your biggest struggles? This can be professionally or personally, and share how you were able to get through them and what kind of an impact they had on your life or career.
So as I kind of mentioned in the beginning about something most people don't know about me, coming here as a child, not speaking English, but so my family and I immigrated here without knowing any English. Once I enrolled in school and learned the language, I became a de facto translator for my parents and everything that they did, from opening a bank account to buying a house. It was really their struggle that mattered to me, even at that age, more than my own, because I recognized at that age that they had sacrificed everything in their life to make my life better. I'm an only child, so their whole focus was on me, and their entire mission was to enable me to live without fear, with freedom, and with opportunities for an education, a career, faith, and family. But as a Russian child living in the United States during the Cold War, my peers were less than friendly and accepting. So while I succeeded academically, it wasn't until I went to college that I really found myself and the acceptance that I had been seeking. So, I mean, there's more that I can say about that, particularly regarding my parents' sacrifices. I really tried to not bother them with any issues that I may have had at school. So I learned at a pretty young age to speak up for myself, to work really hard, and to not take no for an answer. But I also had a lot of guilt for what they went through. So I may have done things and made some decisions that were more for them than for myself, and both personally and professionally. So I think to me, that was probably number one in my mind. And then another challenge was when I started my business. I was brought up pretty risk averse, despite the fact that my parents took the biggest risk ever to move countries. But I didn't have entrepreneurial role models in my family, so it was definitely hard and a leap of faith. I also had a young daughter at the time, and that was really hard to do as well. I was one of the few female entrepreneurs at most events, and the others typically either weren't married, or their kids were grown, or they maybe had a stay-at-home husband or something like that. So it was really hard to find like-minded and supportive folks in the entrepreneurial world. And so, yeah, that was really hard too.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing all of that. And it's a testament to the power of perseverance.
Yeah.
I think in everything that you and your family have overcome. And I can't even imagine the challenges of moving to an entirely different country and not speaking the language and trying to not just survive, but thrive. So definitely a testament to that perseverance and hard work.
Yeah, for not just for me, for them as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So Regina, do you have any tips or tricks that you've used to get through challenging times?
So my dad in particular was always a huge supporter of me. He taught me so much about life, and I always knew that he believed in me and loved me. And that was really critical for me anytime I've run into obstacles, because he taught me how to problem solve, to have a backup plan, and that he'd always be there for me. I also leaned on mentors that I had connected with throughout my professional journey, who were big sources of support and encouragement. But most of all, I'd say that it was my own tenacity and drive, just never giving up and knowing what you want. So I think that really accounted for most of it.
Excellent, thank you. Definitely having a support system as well as the mentorship, like you said, I think is incredibly valuable for helping a person to succeed in whatever it is that they're doing. Because, if you, in any field, if you want to be great at something, you need to learn and follow the instructions of other great individuals in that field. Mm-hmm. So that's an excellent way to do that. Thank you for sharing that. Now let's take a moment and focus on your biggest triumphs. Can you share what those were and why they were such great triumphs for you?
It's hard for me to identify the one thing that I'm most proud of or overcame. I don't think I've had a particularly easy life, but I believed in myself and my ability to get through anything. In business, I'll say that a few stand out as significant accomplishments. You mentioned my MBA. That was definitely something that I'm really proud of, because I got it while working full time, and I wanted to get it from the best school in the area. So that was, to me, that was a big personal triumph. Becoming president of Cleveland SHRM while working full time and mothering a 3-year-old, I think that was a big accomplishment. Starting my business and keeping it going and thriving through the startup phase, a recession, a divorce, and sort of a myriad of other challenges along the way. And I think it's the thriving part to me that I feel most proud of, because I didn't just keep it going, like I grew it and rebranded it, and so I'm really, really proud of that. And to that end, graduating from Goldman Sachs was really a big milestone for me as well.
Those are definitely incredible triumphs, and just continuing to push through and continuing to reach higher and not just settle for, well, this is as good as it's going to get.
Yeah. Complacency is not in my vocabulary. And I think the other piece of it is, identifying something as a goal, working hard for it, and then celebrating it. And I kind of try and look at life that way as much as possible.
Definitely celebrate those triumphs, no matter how small they are.
Exactly.
Because it just gives you that momentum to keep going and to reach higher. Now, you talked on this a little bit here in this last question. So, as women, we juggle a multitude of things: family, career, household responsibilities. Sometimes there's illnesses and caregiving. How do you maintain a work-life balance, and how do you find the support that you need to address all of those things?
Gosh, so that's a really great question on so many levels, and it's a question that I have thought about, or an issue, I guess, I've thought about for most of my professional career. I've worked since I was 12 in high school, college. During my first several years working was balancing school and work, or school and work and extracurricular professional development activities. Then my family was added to the mix. So I think that one of the most important things is time management and prioritization. So being able to really understand when things are happening, when things are due, how much time things will take, and being realistic about it and really prioritizing them. Debunking the notion of perfection, and that's something that I've learned along the way. That was a hard lesson for me to learn, because I grew up thinking I had to be perfect, but really coming to understand that perfect is sometimes and oftentimes the enemy of the good. Letting go of the guilt, I think that's a big one. Knowing that there's no such thing as having it all, just definitely not at the same time. So you can have it all, but you have to focus on and be present for that thing that's right in front of you while it is there. So it's, if you're with your kids or your partner or whatever it is, then that's where you focus. You can't be on your phone, checking emails and things like that. And when you're at work or you have a project, you got to focus on that and not feel guilty about not being somewhere else. I was pretty good about that piece of it, I will say. I think a great partner helps a lot, having a great partner, but they have to be a true partner and not a helper. And I think that that's an important piece of marital dynamic that I have learned over the years as well. This is another one that's kind of a lesson really later in my career, in my life, that I've recognized, which is vulnerability. Being able to be vulnerable, asking for help, and recognizing that that's not a weakness, that it is, it's actually a strength to know what your strengths and limitations are and where you need help. And then letting go, outsourcing the things that are not best and highest use of your time. And that's probably more applicable to business than personal, although I've tried to do it in both areas of my life. But, administrative work, scheduling, bookkeeping, marketing, the things. So I focus on the things that I'm really, really good at and the things that matter the most to my business, and try and let go of everything else. So maybe a longer answer than you wanted, but that's a topic that, like I said, I've given a lot of thought over the years.
Wow. You definitely crammed a lot into that answer. There's so much valuable information just in that one answer. And I loved how you mentioned, letting go of perfection. And I think that's something that a lot of our listeners can relate to. And I know I certainly can. That's something that I have worked on close to my entire life, trying to let go of that perfectionist mentality and realizing that things will take me so much longer to accomplish. When I'm trying to make things perfect. And oftentimes when I'm in that mentality, things tend to go wrong and problems start to arise. And I think it also ties into what you mentioned about being present in the moment and just focusing on one thing at a time, what's in front of you in that moment. And just, rather than focusing on perfection, just focusing on doing the best that you can with what you're working on at the moment, or what you're focused on at the moment, and not trying to make it perfect. Just trying to make it the best that it can be.
That's right. And did you know that multitasking is actually a myth? There's no such thing. It's impossible to do.
I have read that,
Yeah.
yes. And I've read that productivity actually, I forget the percentage that it actually decreases
Absolutely.
when you're multitasking.
Yep.
And I can definitely attest to that. When I'm trying to do too many things at once, it seems like nothing gets done. But definitely focusing, like you said, on one thing at a time, you can devote all of your attention to that, and it is better and more effective and more efficient and more productive and more fulfilling, whether that's, at work or at home or with family. Just focusing on what's in front of you at the moment, I think, is so, so important for us because
Yes.
there's so many distractions. So, Regina, how would you define success for yourself? And do you have any tips or habits that help you to be successful or to feel successful?
That's a great question. I consider myself a successful business owner. As I said before, 17 years of growth and client retention and loyalty is absolutely an achievement. I don't do any advertising. My clients originate organically through referrals, which I think is a great achievement. And I've always looked at success incrementally and not as a destination. So just when I was in college, I wanted desperately to work for BP. I watched the building going up in downtown Cleveland, and I wanted to work there. And so I did everything that I could to do that. And that was my first job out of college. I got that job. Sometimes reality is different than your dreams, though. So it wasn't as wonderful as I imagined it would be. But I did consider that to be a huge accomplishment. I wanted to get my MBA. I did that. I wanted to be president of SHRM. I did that. There's other accomplishments over the years as well. I wanted to be a great cook, red pots, and a great mom. You'd have to ask my daughter if she thinks that I am. But between you and me, she does tell me that I'm both.
Aww.
So I feel pretty good about that. I've always said that to be successful and fulfilled in life, you have to have 3 things. And the third thing I've added recently because I like alliteration. So it's dream, drive, and drinks. And you'll know exactly what I mean, but a dream is your goal, it's your destination, right? So once you set that, you need to have a plan to achieve it. And if you lack the drive to get there and put in the work, then it's rarely that, we get there. Sometimes luck plays a hand, but a lot of times, it's really the drive that keeps you going. And inevitably, you're going to encounter challenges. And if you don't have that grit, if you don't have that drive to keep going, to find a workaround or adapt somehow, again, you're not going to get there. And then, as I mentioned earlier, I think that you have to acknowledge and celebrate those milestones along the way. And that's really what keeps you going. That's the drink part. So it doesn't have to be alcohol, but I prefer that.
Nice glass of wine.
Yes. Or, you have a mug like I have now that says, this might be wine. Yeah. So I try and set goals. I think that they're really important to figure out. I look at 10 years out, where do I want to be? And then what do I have to accomplish at the 5-year, the 1-year marker to ensure that I'm going along to that path? And, after talking to me for half an hour now, you might not be surprised that I have a 10-year travel spreadsheet so that I can plan out every place that my husband or my daughter and I want to visit. And I'm pretty bummed that my spreadsheet went up in flames last year, and I have to redo it now.
Aww.
So, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that description of success. And I think that will definitely resonate well with a lot of our listeners. So Regina, take a moment now and reflect on something that you wish you would have known sooner in life and share that with us.
I wish that I knew that I am enough and that I don't have to be perfect. I wish I knew that long before I discovered it. And I wish that I knew to invest sooner, like actually to do it, because I didn't really, my parents weren't in a position to guide me along those concepts when I was growing up and, graduating from college and so forth. And I had a great opportunity to start investing at BP, and I didn't know to do that. So I think I missed out on most of my 20s in that, but I'm trying to make up for it.
I think the point of when you mentioned wishing you had realized that you were good enough sooner is so, so important, because I think that affects so many people. I mean, I know that's definitely something that I've, struggled with over the years to understand, and to realize that, you're not going to please everybody, and that's okay, because you're not here to please anybody. You just need to do what is best for you, because you're the only one that's going to do that. And yeah, just I love that you said realizing that you're enough. I think that is so, so important for all of us to recognize and to embrace. So thank you very much for sharing that.
And thank you. And it's not to say that you shouldn't try to continuously learn and develop and grow. So I do see those two things as separate.
Right. So what advice would you give to a young woman that's just beginning her career?
That's a great question. And I'm actually prepared for this question because I recently did a talk with John Carroll MBA students on, just this topic, like what advice do I have for them? And so number one is to know yourself. And that includes, what are you good at? What are your strengths? And where do you need to grow? How can you develop to, rise to the next level? And along that is taking feedback as the gift that it is and learning from it. I think a lot of people shy away from seeking feedback and then hearing it, like really hearing it and processing it. And then to that end, never stop growing and learning. It's a part of our values, my values in the company. Never stop growing and learning. And I think the other piece of this, and this is, well, actually, I will tell you, I have two more suggestions. One is you are in charge of your career. And I don't think most people realize that, like process it, but you are in charge. And your career is like a map. So a map has lots of different destinations. You have to pick one and then plan your journey. But you can't be afraid of detours or possible backtracking or rerouting. And so there's also lots of different routes you can take to get to your destination. And some are going to be long and windy, and some are going to be fast, and you'll get there really quickly. And then everything in between. But and there's also stops along the way. You need to take a rest at some point, get something to eat, refresh yourself, get more energy and things like that. And I think that that's a really good analogy for our careers, and that even if you're on that highway moving super fast, there are exits and different routes, and you've got to be prepared. Like, sometimes you're driving and Google says, hey, there's an accident up ahead. You may want to get off and take this country road. So take the country road and enjoy the scenery, like accept it, be adaptable to it. And I think a lot of people are stuck in the black and white, sort of the binary world of it's either this or that. And they miss all the gray along the way. But you've got to know where you're going, because it's definitely harder to find the right path to get there. And lastly, this is a pet peeve of mine, so I'm gonna give this as advice. Grammar matters. It drives me bananas to see poor grammar and inarticulate posts, whether it's on social media or in emails or even in articles that I read. So I figure, if I could learn the English language and learn how to spell and how to, proper like word sequences and so forth, then native speakers should be able to do this as well. So that's my pet peeve.
I will agree with that one. It's a sign of professionalism as well.
Yes.
And there have been numerous times in past jobs that I've had where I have not partnered with a person or an organization because of that level of unprofessionalism. Like if you can't send me an email and use spell check,
Yeah,
or make complete sentences, I don't think you're going to be professional enough to follow through on this business arrangement. So I absolutely agree with your remarks on that. And, you want to put your best foot forward, right?
I think so.
I mean, if you're going to put in that level of effort to get your education and your schooling and your experience, you don't want to flush all that down the drain by sending an email that's so unprofessional that somebody just hits delete.
Right.
So excellent words of advice. Thank you so much. So Regina, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you, how would they get in touch with you?
My website is pivotgrowthpartners.com, and my email is regina@pivotgrowthpartners.com.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank
Do you
you,
have
Shanti.
any last words of wisdom or advice or any closing comments that you would like to share?
I am always full of advice. So no, you shouldn't leave it open like that for me.
I just opened Pandora's box.
Yeah, no. I'll just leave it with my existing comments.
Not a problem. Regina, it has been an absolute privilege speaking with you. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much. Great to speak with you as well.
Thank you. On Technology Partners wants to thank you for joining us on this episode of Women STaRs. If you'd like to appear on a future podcast episode, or if you'd like to nominate a woman to be interviewed for Women STaRs, please email stars@ontechpartners.com. My name is Shanti Harkness. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for joining us on today's journey. Remember, you are all women stars. If you wish to learn more about our Women STaRs program or want to be a guest on our show, contact us at stars@ontechpartners.com. And thank you to On Technology Partners for helping me make this program a reality. Remember, we at On Technology Partners want to help you protect your team from hackers. To learn more about our cybersecurity services, go to ontechnologypartners.com.